to order. And our first agenda item is there any public comment? Oh. Is there any public comments?
Nope.
All right. So we can consider the minutes of the May 7th, 2026 PAC meeting. Did you all get a chance to look at those? And does anyone want to make a motion for that? To approve or to amend or?
I'll move approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes. And so that brings us to the 2026-2028 Sculpture Showcase selections. I want to thank Rachel for doing such a great job organizing all of that and getting these ballots out to us. And I hope everyone had a chance to look at that. So did you want to go through the score analysis, Rachel? Do you want me to, or?
Well, I could just make a few comments and then you can lead the conversation if you'd like. Since we have a few new folks on and it's a little bit different scoring system, I just want to point out kind of the nuances of it. So you all score it based on a 1 to 3 score. Basically, 1 means yes, 2 means maybe, 3 means no. So that means the lower scores are actually those that are had the highest support. And then it's worthwhile to look at not only the average score, so that's what you see kind of that colored bar, the average scores, and then, but also for some of those that fall in the middle, it can be worthwhile to also look at that split. If you have some, the average can change if you have a wide split, a lot of support and a lot of low support all on one piece. So I kind of tried to look at it through those lenses, and I think based on that you have a couple front runners that come out on top, which would be Point of Reference, Asteria, and River Siren. In that middle tier is maybe where you would want to focus some discussion. You have Walking Man, which was Walking Man and Quill 2 both kind of fell into that more broadly acceptable category, no huge indicators one way or the other. And then you had kind of a next set, which is Relief Release, Spindrift, Daydream Believer, and Dance Diagram. Those all averaged about 1.8 to 1.9, and they had a pretty balanced distribution of support, so almost the same number of people who were saying yes, no, maybe on each piece. And then I actually grouped Purple and Nature in there too, because it does fall within there. Daydream Believer was missing a score. And Purple in Nature was not, so that kind of also messes with it a little bit. And then the kind of third set in that middle tier would be Flight and Crossroad, which both had the exact same scoring and distribution. I will point out we have several repeat applicants as well as a couple new. Jorgensen and Shawls are 2 new artists we have not seen submit before. We have 8 total pads in the community to select for. So in the past, typically, the committee has decided which 8 sculptures they want to go with and then cited them after that. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Otherwise, I'll let you all lead the discussion.
Well, looking at sort of the front runners, is everyone in agreement over those 3? Should we just sort of start with that? Always easier. The 4. Or 4. We could talk, yeah, it could also be 4. The 4 in green.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should make a quick comment. I'm sorry, one clarification. I noticed when I was compiling these this afternoon that for the Northing sculpture and Walking Man sculpture, I had those photos flipped on the score sheet. So I just want to make sure that you all actually scored them based on the photos in the folder, not the score sheet. And if not, you might want to discuss those.
I was curious why Walking Man was that. It didn't look like Walking Man.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, I'm just pleased that the top 4 are 4 different artists. I think that's a positive for it. Personally, I like Daydream Believer better, but that's just me.
I did too, actually. I guess in general, and this is my first round doing this, so I don't know how it's been done in the past, but if, I didn't have any sort of like functional or structural or qualifications concerns with any of them. It's really taste and variety. Given that we have 7 artists and 8 pads, do we give everyone one chance before someone gets a repeat? Or do we give newcomers a chance before someone gets a repeat? Or do we go purely based on the sculpture itself?
I think the only concern I had with the Shaw's piece is that's the way that that's shown in the pictures. It's raised up above where all of our pads are at ground elevation, and that looks like a jungle gym to me. That was my only concern with that piece, is that the way that it's displayed in the pictures that they submitted, it's all elevated. But that would be my only concern with that piece.
That it would be tempting to
Tempting for
climb on.
people to climb on. Yep.
Because I like the piece, but I think that is a valid, concern of not wanting something to get. I wish they had more than one piece.
Yeah.
How many of these are artists that are repeats from previous years as well? I guess because I'd like to give the new artists a chance rather than just making this the biannual art show for these individuals, but let it be a wider variety.
So I think we have showcased all of the artists except for those 2 I mentioned, Jorgensen and Schulz, I
Sure.
believe.
I mean, Jorgensen's piece is great. It looks like everybody is in agreement on that.
Ron, do you think that where we place that Shaw's sculpture might help
That could- yeah,
alleviate,
that might help, yeah.
think strategically about that? Because
That's what I was thinking. It might be a good one at the Scott Park location. That one doesn't, it's not, it just doesn't get as much,
Yeah.
people aren't going to climb on it there, I think, as much as some of the other locations in my point of view. So,
I mean, we can try it, and then if we have to
that'd be
pull it,
fine,
we
yeah.
have to pull it. Obviously, we have to do, what's in the best interest of the public and the art, so that's the name of our committee. Is it? Public art. Well, I agree, though. I think the point about making sure that we include newcomers, which we easily can with 8 pieces. And so we have agreed on River Siren, Asteria, Point of Reference, and Walking Man. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
And then-
know. I'm just here to read off.
Well, you can have an opinion.
Well, then that leaves the one Shawls, and then it's a question of which Perry, and then we would have selected one from each artist.
oh, that's a good point.
So we'll do the Shaw, and then it's Dan Perry's? And so those are very close. Does anyone want to speak on behalf of one over the other?
I think the quill fits in best with the city itself.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, City of Literature with the kit quill, that's works well.
So we'll be accepting Quill 2. That brings us to Quill 2, the Relief Release, and then River Siren, and Asteria, Point of Reference, and Walking Man.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't say De Bruyne. It seems like shifting gear was really low, so I'm defaulting to Flight as the choice there. I guess I didn't say that out loud. Am I seeing this right?
Yes, yes, you're
Okay, so
correct.
you're choosing.
So then do the flight, okay. And so then we have one last one, is that correct? Rachel?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, one more.
So we have one more.
Daydream Believer, probably. Which one?
I will say I like dance diagram.
Ooh, I want to see
It-
people do it.
It's one that is interactive without involving touching the work, but it encourages people to participate in the sculpture and complete it through movement. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree. I really like that one too.
I gave it a high mark because of that too. I just like, I want to see people do that dance. I think it would be really sweet.
And in Iowa City, people would do it.
They will, yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have objections or anything about that? No? Do we feel, is there any more discussion or
I was
does anyone
wondering
want to make a
about-
motion or?
The purple in nature, I like that over the Asteria. I mean, I don't know. It just feels like such a better piece to me. But what do you guys think about the purple in nature, switching it up with the Asteria?
I personally really like the Asteria.
Do you?
Yeah, I like the exterior. I frankly don't like the proportions on the piece.
The purple in nature?
Yeah, I don't care for the proportions going on with the flowery aspects and the other pieces in relation to the head.
Yeah, I preferred the other two over that one, I have to admit. And I think it was just, it sort of, it felt a little bit static. And I didn't like the Santa Claus hat.
Santa Claus hat.
It was in one of the pictures.
Oh, was it?
But that wasn't the real reason. I feel like, I just think the other two are very dynamic. It's interesting they're all so different, but from the same artist.
We've had a lot of Tim's work over the years. In fact, his is the piece of work right out here in the lobby as well. And so I liked Asteria because it's just, it flows with the rest of his work, but it's a little bit different than what we've seen in the past. So.
Oh, yeah. Looks like we have 8, right?
Somebody would, any further conversation or would someone like to make a
Well,
motion?
if those are the 8 pieces you want, then I think you would just want to decide on locations next. I can pull that map up, maybe.
And we'll start with release.
Well, if you remember we usually choose, is it 2 or 3 for riverfront crossings that kind of go together because those kind of come very close together on the trail. So maybe pick those first. And then the Mercer Park one is right by the playground. So you want to pick one that's probably more bright and colorful to put, or the dancing one could go there too. Either of those.
Then the one at Scott Park is along a trail, also kind of near a playground. And then the other 3 fall on the Iowa River Trail, so kind of along a river setting and a more secluded trail setting. So that's kind of background if you haven't been to all the sites yet.
I like what Julie was saying about the dance diagram in a more populated
Yeah,
place where it could be interactive. with.
agreed.
So we can put that one at Mercer. That would be nice. That's been a Tim Adams one since we started the program, so it'd be nice to have a different artist there.
I do think that Walking Man might be a lot of touching, and I would be careful of putting that in too isolated of a place, personally.
The surface is so nice. Like it'd be a shame if it got messed up with scratches or,
Whereas I think of Point of Reference, it's a really dramatic piece that could hold space well, and it would be sort of monolithic to come upon.
yeah.
The one, I think it was 7 on the map that's kind of along the trail, but not really at a point you stop along the trail. Maybe that's another good spot for the release, and that you don't, if there's kids, usually they're biking or walking, or you kind of watch it as you go past. That would help the climbing issue.
And if we're looking sort of to put together a triptych, what do people think of like Asteria, Quill 2, and possibly Flight? They're both all colorful.
Oh, those would be nice, right on the river there, and
Would those work well?
Asteria in particular would look beautiful there, I think.
And I think they have a conversation. Does anyone, y'all have good eyes, I know.
I agree with you.
Like, not eclipse, you don't want one to eclipse the other.
I like that two of them kind of reference. We have birds and we have a flower, right? Where the park where all the pelicans come. It's kind of nice that it references the park a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Where are we at? Do you have an idea? Where
Well,
we're
I
at?
have not put any down, no.
so the
Okay.
3 for Riverfront Crossings would be Quill 2.
Flight and Asteria. Do you have a preference on their order, kind of north to south?
I would put, I would put, personally, I would put Flight in the center, and because the other two have a reaching up, and then Flight has more of a reaching out.
Everyone in agreement with that one?
Could you put up the map at the same time?
Yes, I will try.
So the one down, the farthest one's the River Trail, and Terry Trueblood is another pretty high profile area. That one is a seed from the road, and people often comment on whatever sculpture is there. You can see it from the road and the trail. So you want to pick something there that is kind of a statement piece.
Do you think Walking Man would work there?
I think it would.
Do you think that'd be a good one?
Yeah. I feel-
Did we have a different location for that? Did I just move it?
No, I don't think we did. That number 1 there.
Just not to put it in an isolated place, okay.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I messed up here.
it's okay. Terry Truman, okay.
And then the dance diagram was going to be around the park.
And Mercer.
Mercer. And release was
Scott.
Scott.
Wait, release was Scott. I heard also discussion of that on the Iowa River Trail, pad 7. Did we decide Scott? I may not have heard that.
I think that's what you said, Ron, right? Release was,
I guess we.
I think I-
that's what we-
I suggested
did
that
the
one.
initial
It's-
Discussion, yep.
okay.
We just never have had any trouble with any of those sculptures put in Scott Park. So
So we're
Okay.
going to go with our mojo. I think the Asteria and
Yeah, that was at RFX. Do you have a preference on if that's the northernmost or southernmost pad there? 2 would be like towards the north and 3 to the south.
I would put Quill 2 and 3 in the third spot, and then maybe Flight in the fourth, and then Asteria in the second.
Okay.
Really just sort of going off of where the quill is shaped, where it's moving, the motion of that, where the Asteria kind of.
Okay.
I'm excited about this. It'll be fun.
So we still have 6 and 7, and River Siren and Point of Reference.
Yes, so those are both on the Iowa River Trail. This 6 is like when you're leaving the trail from under the overpass from Riverfront Crossings Park, and you cross over the wooden kind of pedestrian bridge, and then there's a sculpture immediately to your right. And then 7 is along the Iowa River Trail, just as you're about to go under the McAllister Bridge on that pedestrian trail. It's kind of tucked into the
What
trees.
about putting River Siren there?
7.
And then point of reference, because it does feel like you are, sort of like a pin drop. And And so it's a nice entry piece.
Oh, good point. I like that.
Point of reference at 6, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that river siren's right by the river.
Yeah.
It's worked out.
Nice.
Yeah, she'll like that. Okay, does everyone agree on these pieces and locations?
Yeah, it looks good.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Does anyone want to make a motion to accept the work and the locations that we just determined?
Yep, I would make a motion to approve these 2026-2028 sculptor showcase selections and locations.
Does anyone want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the 2026
to 2028.
sculptures and their locations.
I'll second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion? Or no? Okay. All those opposed? Okay, so the motion passes.
Yay.
Supposed to do that before. Great. I think it'll be really nice.
That was so fast.
Yes. And so, would you like to, Rachel, do you want to talk about number 5, to consider the budget approval of the Rita Dove plaque replacement on Iowa Avenue Literary Walk?
Yes, we've had an exciting development since the agenda was released. So I had included in your packet, I'd communicated with the artist of the Literary Walk, and he had gotten us a cost quote on replacing the Rita Dove plaque when Iowa Avenue was.
When the Brain Sciences building was built, they had removed the pieces in front of the building, and the Rita Dove plaque was not replaced. And we've actually, Transportation Services had it, evidently. We did not know that until today. So the plaque has been recovered, and there's another plaque in front of the building also that was knocked out during snow removal. So we'll have 2 that we need to put back in that block.
Yes.
Good detective work.
Glad to have it.
Yeah.
Yes. Would have been nice to know earlier,
Yeah,
however.
like 2 years ago, it would have been nice to know.
We're glad to
Yeah.
find it. So we actually don't have a need, I guess, to reproduce it at this time. So I'm not sure we need to
So
discuss.
we don't
the-
have to recast it or anything, so it really is just putting it back
Putting-
in the sidewalk.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Great.
And we have that money, so we should definitely do it. Right?
Yeah. I don't know what the costs associated. Pretty minor, but
Yeah.
we can figure
Out
that.
of curiosity, when those works are damaged, like they can be recast, I'm assuming the molds exist in. It's great.
Yeah.
And have we had to do that often?
This was the only.
This was the only one that had, this is the only one that I'm aware of that we were potentially in need of having to completely replace.
I think it's great. I'm kind of amazed that nobody dug that up, one of them up on a dare or something.
Yeah.
This is a university
Is that
town.
piece
We're
out?
very lucky. Yeah.
Do we need to make an amendment? Do we have to approve that budget?
Well, yeah, this item was just about specifically approving the budget for that piece, but I think at this time there's nothing to do there, so we could move on to the next item unless you had other comments on that one.
No, that's great though. Good detective.
We'll
work.
get that on the list sometime,
You
and
can find the missing Elizabeth Catlett sculpture.
That would be so great.
I'd love to have it.
Yeah. Okay, so we are going to now look at the public art budget priorities and
yes.
for 2027, for our fiscal year 2027.
Okay, so yes, our fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 30th of every year. So our fiscal year 2027 budget will be beginning July 1. Typically, we take an opportunity before that fiscal year starts just to talk about within our allocated budget, kind of what are our priorities going to be for this next year. So I took a stab at it based on, what we've talked about and what's been done in the past. A few key notes on it. Oh, this is the 26 budget, sorry. Let me scroll down here. A few key notes. Well, first I'll talk about carryover. So we talked a little bit about this, but the city has the finance department has a carryover policy that we're all subject to. So we can only carry over funds that are already encumbered. So that would be our public art matching grant program, and then the restoration projects that we have planned. And then for the fiscal year 2027 budget, a few notes. I put 15,000 in under the matching grant program. That's consistent with what we have been doing. You all can discuss if you think that's the right level. The Sculptors Showcase will hit this year, so that's a big chunk out of our budget. We moved that to the 2-year program, so it would free up capacity in those off years. That means this current fiscal year, we did not have that cost, but we will then have that cost this coming fiscal year. So that takes away a little bit of our flexibility. The Opportunity Fund and kind of maintenance projects that was where the discussion kind of fell last year of how much do we want to really commit to maintenance for sure versus set aside for opportunities that may come. So that could be another point of discussion for you this year about how you want to kind of spread the money out there. And then in the miscellaneous, it's just our small Longfellow Tunnel mural project, which is $500 a year. And then we keep a little set aside for printing, plaques, those kinds of things that come up.
And so the matching grant, that comes due in March, right? We vote on that in March.
Yeah, you vote on it in
right.
March.
So at that point, we could look at increasing it through the Opportunity Fund or the condition assessment. But, if that would be a good time to see if we think we would have more money. Because I would have liked more money this year, but, I think we did a really good job of following through on what we had proposed for this year. And there's very little extra, so. So what do you all think of that? Or do you feel that we should, what do you think, I guess?
Just to ask a technical question, if we keep funds as they are, could it ever move from like the condition assessment recommendations, like the maintenance could move to the matching grant program later? Or is it like, it's not like earmarked for that specific, it's just kind of an approximation?
Yeah, usually at this stage, it's more of just like setting, that's why we call it priorities. It's like, so you have that guidance, so you're not just like any way the wind blows kind of thing, but certainly, all of that money is pretty flexible, so you can move it throughout the year as you feel is necessary.
And I think the Opportunity Fund is important. We saw this year we were approached about doing the mural. We weren't asked for funding, but had we been, it would have been a really great project to try to support. So keeping that flexibility, I think, is really nice. But, we also have the matching grant program, I think, is really important, too. And we still have about 3 pieces that are in the orange on our condition.
Yeah, the 3 we discussed were Neighborhood of Seasons, the Jill Harper at Sycamore Greenway, the Will Thompson street markers.
What about the Dorothy one? Was that? Or no, okay, good.
I can't remember if there was, it might have just been triaxial that we were discussing.
And do we have quotes on those yet? Or old quotes?
Nope, I still have not been able to get in touch with the Neighborhood of Seasons artist, and Dave Dennis is working on a proposal for the Will Thompsons.
Good.
I don't think we'll get that before, we don't have another meeting before July, so.
But that's good, because then that'll start to give us an idea of what's happening with those funds, at least, as we move it, if we decide on this budget, or just to anticipate what we might be needing. And so we could go in a couple different directions as far as a motion goes. We can accept it as is, we can accept it, and we could even add the caveat to visit it prior to the matching grant program if we wanted to. We can do, you can do whatever the proposal proposes. Or the motion.
Yes, I'm looking at this year and seeing we didn't spend everything, we don't carry it over. We only spent around 2,000 of the opportunity fund.
Okay.
I think that's a little misleading because you actually did dip into it because other lines are
Oh,
over and it
further,
gets
okay.
pulled into gets pulled from the opportunity fund.
Yeah.
But did we leave $8,000 on the table?
We still have to buy supplies for the bronze restoration. Mac just hasn't sent me what those
Okay.
are yet, so I don't know how much that will cost.
You said the word bronze, though.
So that will be a little bit, but otherwise, it'll be probably a few thousand that we are unable to carry over.
So with that, would you want to maybe move
I would propose moving a little into the grant, and I know that we don't, we can move it later. We can see what the applications are, like we did this year, and see if there's one we wanted to add to the grant program. We don't have to move it now, but just to think about.
So
If we
would you
wanna
want
add
to
to
make
it.
the opportunity fund 5,000 and then make the matching grant program 17, or
Seems
would
good.
that be something that you would want?
And the idea is that you could always disperse funds sort of at the 11th hour then. Yeah, that's a great idea. Like an 11th hour grant. I love it. And somebody in June gets a grant.
Can we not do that this year? Can we not look back at
Yeah.
the matching grants and say, hey, let's fund this one with what we have left?
And say
That's
we
what
have
I'm
a
wondering,
little
like, we're in the
leftover
11th hour.
We're the high runner up. I love that idea. I hate leaving money on the table.
I mean, the tornado cut us short.
That meeting was, we had a point.
Or were there any of the grants this year that we only partially funded? I don't remember.
We only partially funded that one mural that is turning out really great. Could we?
Down at Riverfront Crossings. Yeah, and I know that she's actually buying some of the paint on her own at this point, so
So could we just
maybe
bring
we should
that up
see
to
if
the
she has additional receipts or if you want to fund more of that, you
I
can.
think with $8,000, you can do more than that.
Yeah.
But we don't have the full 8
Yeah.
because we have to get some bronze.
Yeah.
But we think we have at least 2,000, 3,000, Rachel?
Yes, I would say that at least for sure.
So 4,000? Do we have 4,000?
Because it matters, one grant or two, right? Like yeah.
I have no idea how much chemicals to treat bronzes cost.
It's not going to be that.
Yeah.
For the supplies for the bronze treatment, it's going to be under 1,000 for sure.
And we also have a $10,000 assessment. We could move it into the next year budget.
Yeah.
So we could just look at this 8,000
As money you have to disperse.
as
to
money
artists.
that we could give to artists.
Is there anything within the contract of how the matching grant is written that it wouldn't be exciting to be approached and given the money?
We could amend the contracts. What I am not sure about, I don't know if Ron or Julie would know, is if it has not been an item that's been public noticed and then voted upon by you. I don't know if that's a concern or not.
But this is an amendment to a vote.
I think we've done it in the past, but that doesn't mean it was right.
Because we could have someone could make an amendment to our vote during our March meeting, which was cut short because of a tornado, and to increase the grant amount to fully fund several of the projects that were underfunded.
So no new projects, just adding to what we already gave money to.
I think that is probably the
Safest.
safest
Yeah.
use of the funding, because the other one, yes, it would have to go through
I don't have time.
approval and things like that. But we did definitely, and we were very conscious of that, and we were kind of discussing
Yeah.
that, because we did
It's smart.
cut our goal was to fund as many projects as we could, and subsequently we did underfund some. And now in knowing that and having the funds available, we can rectify. And that becomes an amendment to a motion we already passed. If someone would like to make an amendment.
I don't think it is an amendment. I think it's a new motion.
Okay.
I don't feel comfortable doing this. I just think I understand the idea of wanting to spend as much as we can, but this seems like a very last minute, not very well thought out way of trying to spend down a budget.
We have one more meeting before no, wait, it ends.
This is it.
This is it.
This is it. So I mean,
Yeah.
I understand.
I would say from a staff perspective, the reason I have the concern about it not being a item that was publicly noticed on the agenda is, based on whatever decision you make, the public and or the applicants and or the grantees did not have an opportunity to know that it was on the agenda. They could come to speak about it, that kind of thing. So that's where I'm coming from. I think if you really, really want to do this, and you have the right to schedule another meeting, and that would be the right way to do it, would be to schedule an additional meeting.
Well, and I think we would, before that meeting, would contact the artist to say, do you have need for the money? Of course, yes. Do you have receipts for them? Or, is there some process that goes with that?
Do they have to submit receipts for everything that they do once they get a grant?
The grants are reimbursement based, so they submit documentation. We can't exceed 50% of total project costs.
It's extra legwork, but I do like putting money in the hands of artists. I think it's really good for a community if you can do it. But I'd come to another meeting, but I don't vote, so I just would be here to cheer you on.
I would be willing to come to another meeting, and I think we can look back, and I can't draw it up, unfortunately, my computer is not that organized, but just to look at 2 or 3, there was definitely that mural. There was also the film scene collaborative project that we ranked very high, but we did not fully fund, I believe. Ben's.
Could we potentially schedule another meeting in this month and then not have a meeting in July, since it happens right after the 4th of July?
That's what I was going to suggest if you wanted to do another
Yeah, do a meeting the last week in
That
June.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Good, that's great. Thank you, Julie, that's good.
Just try to clear out my July schedule.
There you go.
I'm going to be out of town anyway.
Sold.
I'll be here for the late June, but not for July.
So that's sort of should we make a motion on this to move our meeting date and to have one of the agenda items about,
I don't think you need a
retro-
motion. We'll just notice the meeting at that earlier date. As long as I'm clear on the direction of what we want that agenda item to be, which is revisiting the 2026 public art matching grant.
Yes, and if you could give us
Applications.
some of the top ones that we were not able to fully fund,
Okay.
that would be really helpful.
Okay. Yes.
Do we want to go ahead and try to spend that 8,000 and then amend this budget, understanding that we might be receiving more funds because we might be moving some of the encumbered funds. We might be distributing that instead of holding it.
I guess if we were gonna pay out more now, I'd save it in the flexible bucket for next year. Like if we know there's gonna be bills out of the opportunity fund next year, just leave this.
Okay. Anyone else?
I agree.
And then we just have to remember to take a critical look at that in probably February, so begin thinking about it. And then we would be able to determine that. And we've done that during the voting on the grants moved money at that time. We've done both ways, to be honest, so. Does that seem reasonable? Does anyone want to make a motion?
I don't think you need a motion on this either, more of a discussion item, so.
Oh,
But I'll
don't we
document
need
it.
to make a motion on the budget? To accept the
Well,
budget?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, we don't.
The budget has already been allocated and approved by city council. This is like establishing your budget priorities. But I suppose if you want to make a motion to kind of set those in stone, that doesn't hurt.
Or we can just, everyone feels okay about the budget, and then we can just move on to our next item. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay, so staff and ex officio updates?
The Stanley Museum of Art is extending the black gold tapestry, the 127-foot long embroidered tapestry telling the history of oil into July because of popular demand. It's been one of the most popular exhibitions we've done, like right under Keith Haring. It's really had a big turnout. So if you haven't had a chance to see it, you'll have a little more time to see that. We are down to the last week to see Gia Moon's mural for the wall in the lobby. So come and say goodbye if you get a chance next week. And the work that'll be going in to replace it is a work by Steve Erickson, our erstwhile exhibition designer, now retired and painting full time. So, and then after that, we don't know. But Steve's work will be installed in July, so we're leaving a little soft because we don't know how long it will take. And then next week, we will be co-hosting, along with the Pentecrest Museums, the National Association of Academic Museums and Galleries, which will bring 300 museum professionals to Iowa City. So if you see people walking around in Zuri dresses with tote bags, you'll know who they are.
Definitely let them know about the interactive map for the city, too.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll find a way if we can link that to the WOVA conference app. Actually, that's an
That would
excellent
be nice.
suggestion.
Yeah, that would be great. Exciting. Anything else? Anybody?
I have a few. One I'll just mention for those who couldn't make it, we held the ribbon cutting for One Earth, the new mural on Capitol Street ramp on the 22nd. Great turnout. It looks really great. You all should be very proud of your support and guidance on the project. Hello Lamppost, the Irving Weber activation is in its final stages. It took longer than we thought, but it should be ready to launch next week. We have everything ready to go, so you'll see those signs go out and you can start your conversations then. So please get out and share it. And then I just wanted to make a note on the senior center, or the old post office gallery at the senior center. I know we had discussed doing a emerging artist round, and we were getting to that timeline where we should be discussing that this summer. I admittedly have not gotten to it. We've just had so many other big projects going on, and just my capacity with the public art piece that I have is maxed. So I will apologize for that. I'll make sure it's on an upcoming agenda so we can discuss whether we still want to try to get that through this year. We'll be needing to do our call for the next year soon, so we can discuss all that timing and figure out what our priority is. But in case you were looking for it, I just wanted to apologize. It's all on me, but we'll get it figured out.
And I think maybe doing calls for, especially for younger artists, is in the fall is probably an optimum time when schools are in session. And
Yeah, I think we had originally discussed in the spring, so they had time to work on it over the
Right.
summer and install in the fall, and I just did not meet that timeline, so I apologize.
And I want to acknowledge Julie's bench. It's so beautiful. Julie painted one of the benches. Please take a look at it. It's amazing.
I saw a family, like the little kid wanted to sit on it so badly, and her mom was saying, "It's not dry yet. It's not dry yet. It's not dry yet." So it was very cute.
You could have had some really special pants.
It's mine is the blue one right by the Penn Mall playground.
Yeah, it's right,
The-
right where the kids.
Yeah,
were.
it has a Norwegian rosemalling design on it. That's a folk artist in rosemalling, so.
And I promptly suggested that Julie should do all the benches, but she declined.
One and done. Thank you very much.
Any other comments? So if there's a motion to adjourn, we could do that.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
So we are adjourned. Yay. Thank you, everyone.